Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Going live again. I usually go on Sundays, but today I wanted to go on. I wanted to share a word. I want to encourage you to share your story. Give you guys a couple of seconds to get your stuff together and tune in. This is probably my fourth video. Getting such great feedback, and hopefully that it is blessing you guys and inspiring you and motivating you and all that good stuff. We all need to be motivated. We all need to be encouraged. And so just consider me your personal cheerleader. I do not own the rights to this song. I got some smooth jazz playing because I love jazz. And I will just use this for our little intro before we get started. Hope y'all are having a great day. Wonderful, wonderful Saturday. I am. My Saturdays are usually used for, look, I'm wearing my bracelet that I got from the hospital. I was going through my jewelry box and I was just like, let me see what I can find to put on today. When I resigned. Too young, retired. Well, not really. When I resigned from working at the hospital, they threw me this big old party because I love a party, right? They threw me this really nice party, farewell party. They brought me gifts. And so the entire revenue integrity department is where I work. And they all bought me this because they know I love jewelry. Bought me these pearls, and I love pearls. I got that from my grandmother Hazel. She introduced me to pearls, and so I am a pearl lady. I love pearls, and it's just something that I enjoy wearing. I always said if I had a daughter, I would pass down some of my pearls to her. I just think pearls are so classy. You can wear them with pretty much any outfit. You can dress down. You can put them on with a nice pair of jeans. Something, you can wear for church or work or an event, So I love pearls. I love jewelry, but I really love pearls. So this video today is called Tell Your Story. Share your story. Tell your story. And it just came to me because I was going about my day. I was, resting, getting my house together. That's what I do mostly on Saturdays. I love to make sure everything is in place and clean and laundry's done and house clean. Got some cinnamon and vanilla aroma going through my home. Ladies and gentlemen, it will save you so much money. And also all those other different fumes that you have going from the incense and smells. Just put some vanilla and cinnamon in a pot and just turn it down really low, and it will just have your whole home just smelling so very nice and pleasant. And so I just turned mine off because it was smelling really, really good. So now I have that fresh smell just flowing through my house. So anyway, tell your story, share your story. Some of us have been through some things in life and you wonder why. And some things probably should have never happened. Some things was beyond our control, but they happened to us. And you made it. I made it. You made it out of it. Hopefully you got some great experience from it. Hopefully you have grown from it. And hopefully you're not carrying it in your heart as resentment towards someone or bitterness or hatred towards others or even towards yourself. And so let me turn my phone off because my family got me on a group text. They're group texting me. So I love my family. Shout out to my family. Woo woo. Y'all, let me tell you before I go into my little go live. I am on a group text with my family from Cleveland. And y'all let me tell you, probably Thursday, Somebody started with the group texting at 4:30 in the morning. It's 5:30 their time. It's 4:30 my time. You do the math. And I get up Monday through Friday for work around 5:45. I hit the first alarm, and then if I'm really tired, the second alarm go off at about 6 o'clock. I hit that one. And so one day this week, I kind of like slept a little bit past 6. And of course, my lovely family group text, people were chiming in and they woke me up. So they were my alarm clock on this week. So I encourage you, you have family out of state or even in state, you guys just want to just um, give encouragement to one another or just stay in touch with one another. And these group texts were amazing only until two people are having a conversation and they keep us all included. I'm just like, okay, why didn't you guys just send a private text? Anyway, get back to my story. Share your story. That's what this is about. I want to encourage you. I want to push you, and I want to help shine a light on the reason why it's so important to share your story. We all have, again, been through things in life, some things beyond our control. And you made it out by the grace of God. And hopefully you're stronger, you're better, and most likely, hopefully you're wiser from it. But your story was not just for you. Your story was for someone else as well. There's somebody right now, they're going through what you've been through in life, and they have no idea how to get out of it. They have no idea what happened to them. They're like in what they call shell shocked. Some people are depressed. Some people are just very having a hard time. And if we would be so kind to say, I've been through that, I understand it, I walked through that same journey, I went that same route, and this is what helped me to get out of it. I think we'll have so many people getting out of these situations that they feel that no one else has ever experienced. Some of you know I had surgery earlier this year because I had fibroids. I had probably about 20 fibroids in my stomach. And according to my doctor, I had like two big size, probably a size of an orange or something. And I never knew that this was something that different women, several women in my family had experienced. I'm like, why nobody ever told me this? Because a lot of times we don't share our story. And I don't blame them for not sharing that with me. Maybe I should have investigated. Maybe I should have reached out to them and say, hey, have any of you ever experienced this? But I didn't. And sometimes we're dealing with things alone. I don't know if it's just we just want to deal with things alone or a fear or I don't need to ask, or maybe this is private, or maybe I just need, or you're ashamed. There's some things happening in your life you don't have to be ashamed about. You think about different health things that are going on in our body, different ones, and some things is not our fault. Some things it just happened, right? And if we don't reach out and start asking questions like, how did this happen? When did this start? What did you do to get out of it? Show me how you handled it so I don't have to just experience it by myself. But if we don't open up our mouths and we don't share our stories, how would someone ever going to realize they don't have to take that journey alone? And so when we don't share our story, it's like people think they are the only ones, and they're not. The Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. That means if it happened to you, most likely it happened to somebody else. Some of us listening to this video, you've been divorced, you've been cheated on, you've been lied to, you've been let go from a job, you've been overlooked for a job. How did you handle that? How did you make a way out of that situation and come out on top even stronger? And we need your story. We need you to tell and share your story and say, okay, I understand how you feel. And this is what I recommend for you can walk through that painful time that you feel like you're all alone. You're really not, because I've been there as well. And this is what I did to make it through. So that's why even me, I share about being in ministry and married. I shared how walking through that disappointment and shame and felt abandoned and rejected, and Even felt like God turned his back on me. Now I look at it, I realize God didn't turn his back on me. It was actually God who allowed me to walk through that and be where I am today, stronger, wiser, and better, more loving, more understanding, more patient, offering others grace, is because my story that I walked through allowed me to be who I am today. So sometimes our stories that we go through, our trials we go through, it's a part of our journey that we can say, God, what do I need to learn from it? Again, how can I become stronger? What is the lesson in this? Will this story break you or will it make you? Will it make you hate somebody or will it make you love others? And so when you're going through something, I want you to know it is okay for you to get out of it. It's okay for you to share it. And it's okay for you to ask for help. And so you got a story to tell. You got a story to tell. So back to my story about fibroids. So I had it since I didn't even realize that I had fibroids for one. I just knew as a young girl, I've always had issues with my cycles, could be heavy or a long period of time. And nobody ever sat down, and had that conversation with me. And so you just going through the motions. You're just like, well, I guess this is something that I just have to face. And I remember just going to see different doctors, and they put you on most times birth control, right, ladies? They'll put you on birth control because, according to them, they want to help regulate your periods. And they don't realize all of our body types are different. And so, what perhaps worked for someone else perhaps will not work for you, right? And so, I want us to understand you should never ever put your life in the hands, first of all, of man. And this is where we become ignorant of the fact that we don't do our own research. And I was that. I didn't do my own research. And so in my early 20s, and all the way through my 20s, I trusted doctors. And I've been in the medical field for a couple years. And you trust people to know what they're doing or how your body is functioning. And unfortunately, you don't do your own research. And that was me. I didn't do my own research. So I trusted them. And in doing so, I was an experiment. And some of us, you're an experiment because you don't want to seek knowledge for yourself. You don't want to do your own research, and you don't even want to ask your family members, like, hey, has anyone ever had this situation going on? Right. And so now they're testing you on medicine. They're telling you to do this and they're telling you to do that. And I remember one time, one doctor put me on like some estrogen. Next thing you know, guys, I'm blowing up like a balloon. Like literally, I saw one of those pictures years ago. I said, man, was that me? I could not believe that was me because the estrogen was so it was a side effect. I had side effects from it, and it didn't work. It was a temporary fix. It was like a bandage. And so again, it probably worked for a little bit, and then next thing you know, probably a year later, it was the same old thing. No one ever told me until I got involved in my own health. I did my own research, and I started realizing there's something going on that I need to do my part. So this is what I did. So if you're listening to this, I'm going to share some tips about my story of having fibroids and how I decided to take control of my life in that area. One thing I realized is some of the foods I was eating, I need to change it up. I also realized I needed to lose weight. Correct. That seems like it's an ongoing thing going on. But anyway, so I realized I need to lose weight. I realized that I need to start eating better. I realized I need to start paying more attention to the things I'm putting in my body and things that's helping my body, such as vitamins, right? Drinking more water, electric lights. I mean, these are things that no one ever sat down and said, hey, your body needs these things to be able to function properly. And so I just switched up, start eating better, start exercising, drop the weight. Come on, somebody. Lost the weight. And then I began to realize like that my cycles started getting better. And it wasn't the medicine, it was me making these major changes in my life. And so then that corrected it. Things start getting better. I start taking something called flaxseed oil. And anything that I'm sharing today is, I'm not saying that's going to work for you, but what I'm saying is it is your responsibility to find out what works for you and do your own research and see if this will work for your body. That's what I'm saying. So I'm sharing my story on what I did. I realized, okay, this is what I need for my body to function properly. So dropping the weight, exercising, taking the right vitamins, spending time resting, not being all stressed out. And I just made some even relationship changes in my life. That was for me. Sometimes things are affecting your body is because you have wrong relationships. They have your body all stressed out, and you're overwhelmed, and you have fear, and you have anxiety, and you got all these different sicknesses that are coming on you guys, is because you have sometimes wrong relationships in your life. I know. Probably like, why in the world are you bringing that up and you're talking about this? Because it's very important. So when I start adjusting things in my life, from my health to my relationships to even my spiritual life, I start seeing things change for me. So years later, I start having the cycles again. I'm like, what in the world? Heavy cycles again. I'm like, what in the world? To the point, I think I went for a physical, and it was because I was getting tired and I just wanted to go get my physical. I wanted to get checked or whatever. And when I did, I'll never forget, my doctor called and said, your blood count is so low that we need you to get in here. Like, it was so low that the lab people were astonished that I was still able to function and do life. They're like, how in the world is this woman able to even do life and not realize that she has very low blood? Because I just became accustomed to knowing how to adjust to pain. That's the whole message when it's within itself. When you are so accustomed to certain things, you don't even realize that you're almost in the red zone. And I was in the red zone. And I just remember being at work, getting that call, and I just cried. Yeah, I did. I just was like, oh my God, what's going on? And I called my sister, and I think I called one of my closest friends. And I also called one of my moms in ministry, and so they can be aware. And then I think I text one of my pastors. Why? You need people praying for you. These people I know going to pray for me. I know they care for me. I know they want the best for me. And I wasn't fighting this battle alone. So I ended up at the hospital. They did test. They realized you need some blood, girl. And I was like, okay. Ended up getting a blood transfusion. I think I stayed in the hospital for 1 or 2 days. And that's when they discovered that I had fibroids. So they said, you're going to have your fibroids removed, or you're going to have a hysterectomy. I'm like, wow, this is not something I wanted to know. This was not something I wanted to face. Um, I'm for my late 40s, never had children, and it's something I've always wanted to have, especially in my 20s and my early 30s. I always just wanted to be a mother and things like that. And I just feel like I got that mother love. And so it's just something I've always said, God, I want to have my own children. And so when they hit me with that, I was like, I don't know what to do. And I was just like, this, if I have a hysterectomy, then I won't have a chance of having children. And so now my story states, when you're believing God for something, all practically most of your life. And I mean, I had baby names picked out. I mean, that's how serious that I've been. I was like, baby names. When I had a home in Illinois, I had a baby room, had the baby name on the door. I mean, I'm just like, come on, God, let's get this thing started, right? And so never was able to have children of my own. But I've always had some kids in my life that I was able to mentor and love on and spoil and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted my own. And so being faced with that, I felt like let down. Like, man, that's not the promise that God and I we worked out. This is not what I asked God for, and now I'm stuck with this decision. And so, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And when I opened up um, my story with different family members, that's when I was able to find out that some of them had fibroids removed. And I'm like, man, why nobody ever told me? Why that story has never been shared with me? Maybe something they went through could have helped me um, instead of having me feel like I was all by myself on this in this situation. And so as I began to open up and talk about it more, it was like God began to show me like what direction to take. And so I was referred to this doctor who was a specialist in fibroids. And God just gave me such great favor with him. And he's like got all these awards, and he's like one of the top doctors here in Little Rock who specialize in it. And he just educated me. He took time, he educated me on the procedure, and I felt comfortable with him. And I realized I didn't have to have the partial hysterectomy. He was just like, I don't want to stomp on your dream, for one. And yes, you are older, and it's not saying that you cannot ever have children if you just when you get married and this is something you guys desire to do. He said, but there's other options, which no one ever told me there were other options. I just thought this was the only option to the left, and I didn't realize I had other options here. And so it's because I was able to share my story. And so I ended up having the surgery. He removed all the fibroids, and things in my body is working so much better now. Yay! Yes, thank you, Jesus. And so I'm grateful. And so I want to share my story of that with you who are listening. Perhaps you got something going on in your body and you have fibroids. Um, you've spoken to a doctor and they told you the only option for you was to have a hysterectomy. Ladies, I want you to do your research and I want you to get a second opinion, get a third opinion. You got to have peace within yourself. Definitely have people around you praying like I did so you can have guidance and you can have a clear mind so you can make these major decisions that has to do with your health, your mental state, and you want to have that support. And again, if we don't start opening up our mouths and sharing our story and what we're facing, we can't blame people. We can't go through those pity parties and feeling sorry for ourselves when you are the one who shut down and didn't share. And so I want to encourage you to say, you're not in this by yourself where we have a big gigantic world of people who've been through what you've been through, who walked through what you walked through, and they made it out. And guess what? So will you. You've been through divorce. You are talking to someone who's been through divorce, and she made it out stronger, better, wiser. I think that's a Marvin Sapp song, but anyway, because I went through it. And so if you're facing it, open your mouth, share your story. Now, I'm not saying share your story with everybody, but I'm saying share your story with somebody until you get to the place in your life where you can open up and share your story with others. Because I don't want you to think you have to do life alone. That's pretty much it. This video is to push you, encourage you, and to remind you that you don't have to do life alone. Share your story. I watched this video last night on YouTube. No, on Netflix. And it was called um, The Luckiest Girl, I believe. I'm not sure. I would tag the movie in this video. But it is a story about a young girl who was drinking at a party and she was raped. And I'm not sure if this was a true story, but it's on Netflix, and I think it's like one of the newest videos that's on now. I think it's called The Luckiest Girl. But anyway, she was raped, and she was a part of some people who were mistreated at this school. It was like a prep school, and people had lots of money type thing. And one of the kids who was part of her little in crowd, they came and shot up the school, which is horrific, and they killed a lot of kids at that school. And she was part of being blamed for it. And so for years, she carried that shame of being raped and shutting out that part of her life, and what caused was such trauma in her life and bad decisions and bad relationships. She didn't know how to even handle relationships because that had affected her in such a way, and she never ever really shared her story. But at the end, she did, and it was just a really good movie. And so it just really stayed on my heart, my mind this morning. I said, how many times we have a story and we keep it to ourselves and we don't share it with somebody. Um, and then we try to do it by ourselves. So I don't want you to do it by yourself. I want you to understand you don't have to do it by yourself. You have options. You have people out there who want to hear your story so they can learn how can they get out of that situation that they're facing today. That's all I have for today. Share your story. I always say this as a believer, as a kingdom woman, is my story ends up being God's glory. So when I'm sharing my story with others, it is now giving God glory. That's from relationship stuff to maybe a decision on my job, a situation on my job that was horrible and I made it out, or just life, period. I'm sharing my story. You share your story, be encouraged, and do not be ashamed to share it. Have a great day.